Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 810.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about Tesla being added to the S&P, which will cause the biggest rebalancing of the S&P 500 in history. That's right, Tesla is being added into the S&P. Now, it was shunned for a little bit, but they got their way, and they are going to become part of the S&P 500 index. So I want to share with you an article written by Bob Pisani on CNBC.com about this big rebalancing in Tesla. He said Standard & Poor's action on Tesla showed the growing power of indexers and passive investing. S&P Dow Jones Indexes has announced that Tesla will be added to the S&P 500 using the closing price on December 18th in one single action. S&P has been canvassing big institutional investors to try to figure out whether Tesla should be added in one fell swoop on the close on December 18th, which is a quadruple witching expiration day, and the traditional day stocks are rebalanced in the S&P, or whether it should be split up into several separate trading days. The concern, including Tesla in the S&P on that date, will create a lot of trading volume and pressure on different stocks. That concern is well-founded given Tesla's size. This will be the largest rebalancing of the S&P 500 in history. How big? Really big. Tesla's current market cap is $546 billion. However, due to Elon Musk's ownership of 20%, the stock will enter the S&P with an 80% weighting, or about $437 billion. Roughly 17% of the total value of the S&P 500 is tied to passive index investments, which would produce a need to buy about $72 billion in stock on the day of rebalancing. In order to buy $72 billion, you have to sell $72 billion. That's a lot of money and a lot of pressure. Last quarter, by comparison, the whole rebalancing of the S&P was $32.4 billion, so roughly half. The highest it has ever been was September 2018, when it was $50.8 billion. S&P has canvassed the trading community to ask what the best way to handle this would be. Should it all be done on the one day of the rebalancing, December 18th, when there is the greatest liquidity, or should it be spread out over a number of days? The pro of doing it on one day is that there is massive liquidity on the rebalancing. The con is that this may create downward pressure on the stocks that have to be sold that may create order imbalances. In theory, changing the weight of a stock in an index should not change the price since nothing fundamental is occurring. However, this would be the biggest rebalancing in history and nobody is quite sure how it would play out. Ultimately, S&P decided to rip off the Band-Aid and do it all at once. What this demonstrates is the power of indexes. The true amount of money indexed to the S&P 500 directly is likely much higher than the official number of about 17%. There are many who do not formally license the index, but emulate it by buying most of the components. No one knows exactly how big this shadow community of closet indexers really is, but it certainly is not unreasonable to expect there could be an additional $30 billion to $50 billion in additional buying on top of the $72 billion from official indexers. That is a lot of buying. End of article. Wow. Well, we really don't know how this is going to impact the S&P 500. And don't forget, lots of pension funds, institutions, lots of big money own the S&P 500 index. So everybody who owns that index is going to have to be buying Tesla, which might send Tesla, which is already in the stratosphere, as we've been talking about, at 1,000 PE ratio, to further heights. So who knows what on earth is going to happen? We'll be watching closely to see what happens and see how December 18th shakes out. If you haven't subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available so you never miss one of them. And remember, the whole entire podcast library, your wealth mentoring library, is on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. There's many more podcasts that are there than are available on iTunes. So be sure to go to my website to check out all of the library and every topic that you want to know more about. It's all about getting you to financial freedom faster. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.